As of right now in Cookie Run Kingdom, there are 95 different cookies that you guys can summon, collect, and build. And it makes it very confusing, especially for new players diving into the game, on deciding on which cookies are the best to invest in and which ones you should absolutely avoid. So in today's video, I'm going to be showcasing the top 10 best overall cookies that are 100% worth your investment. This list is going to consist of nothing but epic cookies, as these are going to be the easiest cookies for you to get and summon and build. And not only that, they're going to make up the general core of any team you're using. The very first cookie we have on this list is Wildberry Cookie. Wildberry is going to be a defensive unit and placed in the front line, basically going to be a tank to soak up a lot of incoming damage. However, though, when it comes to the utilizing Wildberry's skill, Wild Punch, it's going to be on a 10-second cooldown. Some of the things to keep in mind is that every single hit that he provides on an enemy will provide a 1.3-second stun. Again, very good for crowd control and mitigating the damage. Additionally, when utilizing his skill, he does provide a AoE stun to everybody on the team. And not only that, another really awesome thing is going to be the damage resist buff of 15% to all allies during utilizing his rage skill. When it comes to the best toppings of choice for Wildberry Cookie, a full solid almond set is going to be ideal. Honestly, because they're in the front line, taking a lot of incoming damage, you want to stack up as much damage resistance as you possibly can. Now, for the second cookie, we have Financier. Financier is going to be a defensive frontline unit, just like Wildberry. However, what makes Financier very special is going to be this skill Paladin Protection. She essentially tethers herself to your highest attacker on your team, and in doing so provides healing for that cookie. It boosts their attack, their overall damage, and then also their crit resistance. And then it also grants them a Light's Shield. As for the best toppings of choice for Financier Cookie, a full Swift Chocolate set is going to be the best. You really want to make sure that you achieve the 17.3% cooldown. That's going to be the minimum for the specific start that you want on the timer, and then you want to dump the rest of it into damage resistance just to aid in their survivability, as them being placed in the front line does mean they'll take a lot of incoming damage. So increasing their damage resistance will increase their survivability. The third cookie we have on this list is Macaroon. Macaroon's going to be a magic user and placed in the middle line. What makes Macaroon very special is that when she utilizes her skill, she provides area damage. Providing that area damage will provide a stack of debuff on the enemy, and then the higher the debuff the stacks are, the more healing that your team will receive. Not only that, your team will also get a attack increase buff and also a crit % increase buff. Both of two really important things that will help you progress throughout the game. Now, for Macaroon, the best topping set is going to be a full Swift Chocolate build. However, though, even though damage resistance is really important, you do want to try to achieve the 24% for the cooldown. That's going to allow you to utilize the skill at its maximum efficiency and as many times as possible. However, though, as I show, anything extra outside of that 24%, you do want to try to get into damage resistance via the substats just to make sure that they can stay alive throughout the various types of content. The next cookie we have on this list is going to be Swaltzwalder. They're going to be a charge unit and placed in the front line. Once again, a semi kind of sort of tank slash DPS slash crowd control user. Now, when it comes to Brute, what makes them very special is the massive amounts of AoE damage that they provide. Not only that, the crowd control mechanics via their AoE stun, basically preventing the enemies from utilizing any of their skills and allowing you basically to do more damage to them and hopefully kill them off. On top of all of that, they also provide buffs for themselves and also a full attack buff, basically allowing your team to do more damage. And as always, when it comes to the best toppings for Swaltzwalder, running a full solid almond build is going to be ideal. Your main focus should be stacking up as much damage resistance as you possibly can to aid in their survivability. However, though, having a little bit around that 2% mark for cooldown is going to aid you in things like the arena to basically go off first in that rotation to then provide an AoE stun on the enemy team. Now, moving right along to the next cookie, and that's going to be Purple Yam. Purple Yam is going to be another charge unit and placed in the front line. However, when it comes to Purple Yam, they're actually very selfish. They are basically a frontline, heavy-duty, insane tank. It's really all about unlocking the magic candy for Purple Yam. This is going to be called the Berserker's Fury at a 12-second cooldown. they literally get insane buffs. They get an attack percent buff, crit percent buff, damage resist percent buff, attack speed buff. They get a reduction in their cooldown. And then last but not least, at a plus 10, they also unlock a restoration, which allows them to heal themselves for 15% of max HP for every 5 seconds. And since Purple Yam is placed in the front line and they will be taking a lot of incoming damage and they are literally designed to be a insane tank, you want to stack as much damage resistance as you possibly can to aid in their overall survivability that much more. You're going to achieve that by running a full solid almond set. Additionally, it's worth mentioning that stacking HP percent will allow their ability to scale even higher, which will allow them to do more damage and just become a insane tank. Now for the next cookie, that's going to be Werewolf Cookie. Werewolf Cookie as well is going to be a charge frontline unit. This guy, very similar to Purple Yam in the fact that you're really looking to build their magic candy to enhance their overall skill. It's going to be on a super low cooldown of only 11 seconds. He essentially transforms into a werewolf. Upon utilizing his skill and transformation, any enemies that are hit will be provided the injury debuff. On top of that, he increases his debuff resistance by 40% during his transformation, and not only that, all of his injury stuff scales off of his max HP. The guy is an absolute monster for guild boss content, Cookie Alliance content, and just being a crazy good frontline unit. As for the best toppings of choice, I would run a full solid almond build, once again focusing in on as much damage resistance as you possibly can muster. However, I do want to mention that when it comes to Werewolf Cookie, there is select type of content in the game, aka guild boss, where you can actually run apple jellies. This is going to be the primary focus of crit percent, allowing Werewolf Cookie to do a insane amount of damage on things like the guild boss battle. However, for the general build for Werewolf Cookie, I think the better and the safer option for almost all types of content is going to be running a full solid almond build. Now, diving into the next cookie we have, and that's going to be Espresso. Espresso is going to be a magic cookie placed in the middle line and basically a insane AoE damage dealer. Once again, the utility behind Espresso is going to be focused on their magic candy, the perfect extraction. It's a giant whirlwind that inflicts periodic damage to the enemies and pulls them from afar to its center, even if they are resistant to interrupting effects. The final burst inflicts injury and causes a stun at a plus level 10. As for the best toppings for Espresso, running a full searing raspberry build is going to be ideal, and the main focus is going to be achieving at least the 8% for the cooldown and then stacking the rest of it into damage resistance. The 8% is going to be the best for the overall timing and utilization of their skill, and the damage resistance obviously is there to aid in their survivability. Now, the next cookie we have on this list is near and dear to my heart and to a lot of players, and that's going to be Cotton Cookie. Cotton Cookie is actually a support cookie and placed in the rear. Even though she's labeled as a support unit, she actually does a crazy amount of damage and summons minions. The sheep that she do provide a 1-second stun on the battlefield. They provide an attack increase by 75% for all other summoned minions, and not only that, she provides a megaton of AoE healing for every one of your party members. And when it comes to the best toppings of choice for her, that's going to be running a full Swift chocolate build. Once again, your main focus is trying to achieve the 24% for the overall cooldown. This is literally going to allow her to utilize her skill at maximum efficiency. However, when it comes to other certain types of content, you do want to try to stack the remaining amount into damage resistance to also aid in her survivability. Now, as for the next cookie we have, and that's going to be Squid Ink. Once again, a magic user and placed in the middle line. When it comes to Squid Ink, they just provide a megaton of AoE damage, and they also have a semi-evade mechanic when utilizing their skill, which allows them to miss certain attacks from the enemies. Additionally, upon slapping their tentacles on the ground, they basically provide a couple of different things. One, AoE damage. They provide extra skill damage, whether it's going to be according to cookies and other, enemies. And also they provide a defense reduction debuff of 20% for 10 seconds. Any enemy that gets hit by that, defense reduction will then also take additional damage by 26.6%. And as for the toppings for Squid Ink, running a full searing raspberry build is going to be the best for the general use. You could argue that maybe apple jellies could also be used or a combination between the two. However, running a full searing raspberry build, like I said, is going to be the safest and most general option. You want to stack up as much attack as you possibly can. A little bit of cooldown obviously will allow them to utilize their skill more often, and then damage resistance is going to be needed in certain situations to aid in their survivability. And finally, that's going to bring us to our last cookie on this list, and that's going to be none other than Vampire. They're going to be an ambush cookie and placed in the rear. When it comes to Vampire Cookie, they do have a magic candy added into the game, which does give them the ability to revive and also provide an insane amount of healing when they do come back to life. However, though, even without the magic candy, Vampire Cookie is still one of the best single target damage dealers in the game. Very, very good for going up against boss stages or sniping out an enemy cookie in something like the arena. Not only that, when it comes to utilizing Vampire Cookie, they have an evade mechanic that once again allows them to sometimes avoid the enemy's incoming attacks, allowing them to live and continue to do damage. As you would expect with Vampire being a damage dealer, you're going to be running a full Searing Raspberry build. Your main focus is going to be stacking up as much attack as you possibly can. However, if you can achieve somewhat around the 8 to 10% for the cooldown, that's going to be very beneficial to allow you to utilize their skill in the perfect timing setting for different types of content. Also, if you're running things like the arena or, high level stages, you might need to add a little bit of damage resistance in there as well to make sure that they do stay alive. And that's officially going to wrap up our top 10 cookies that are an absolute must build for every player out there at the current state of the game. I'm telling you, all of these cookies are worth all of your resources to invest in them. They will carry you through all types of content in the game, whether it's going to be PvE or PvP. And I want to do a quick shout out to a few people in Discord: UB, Solarizzo, Bruhface, Zine, and also PK Form, to helping me assemble this list to ensure that they are the top 10 cookies that they all also recommend for every player to build in the game. With that being said though, guys, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Cookie Run Kingdom related. Don't forget I have a Discord. You will always find that link provided down below in the description. With that being said, as always, guys, I'll see ya on the next one.